listening to Enlivening Musings, a podcast to enhance your life so you live fully alive. Sponsored by the Pleasure Fairy app. Download it for more support. Welcome to Enlivening Musings. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Katie.
And today we are extending our steaming conversation, and
Yes.
we are going to go into concepts more around the birthing person. So labor prep, postpartum, that land. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love this realm of the steaming world. I went further into the beyond like the basics of like the vaginal steam facilitator to learn labor prep and postpartum from my own experience, because I wanted to experience it with my last child. So it's interesting because I think I said before, there's different ways to learn about steaming. So there's like the folk medicine way, which is like ancestral, it's handed down in knowledge that way. And then there's more like the academic way that I learned like through a teacher, and studying and taking tests and stuff. So I like to just acknowledge both because if someone has different training, they might have some different insights or thoughts on it of like what feels safe for them to experience and what doesn't. So in my teaching, which was more like classroom based, let's say, the teaching really is like you don't steam during pregnancy, right? Because, and a lot of that is I've heard from more like folk taught teachers is like, it's fine. Like they're like, what's the big deal? Like, there's people that you steam to induce labor and it doesn't even work. So it's not like it's going to magically like open up the cervix. Like it doesn't work that way. But still, it's like anything. Who wants to even do anything that would be like remotely harmful? Like never. Like you would never want to take that risk with somebody. So some people will say that more folk trained would be like if the person is very experienced in steaming and really wants it and it feels really supportive and warming, like it's fine. I personally, when people are pregnant and they've had experience with steaming, but I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable having them do it under my care, let's say, warm foot baths are really good because the feet, we've talked many podcasts about the connection between the feet and the uterine artery. And so that's a really nice way to warm you up and keep the uterus warm. And it's very safe, but it feels really great and nourishing for pregnant women, especially in the cold climates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where we live in the north. So, so the basics with labor prep. So when I work with people, most of the people I've done labor prep and postpartum with have been virtual clients. And like you could just do one or the other, but for me, I just do both because I'm like, if I'm going to give someone postpartum care, I'm like, I can't like not share the labor prep. Like, let's just combine it because it's just like, why not? So with labor prep, you can start, it's like a really specific protocol. So I'm not going to go into like each detail, but you can start around basically the idea is like as soon as mom feels like she would be ready to start having the baby.
Sure. Yeah. I feel like with herbal things that I've done that wasn't steaming, it was like that 36-week mark is like that safe mark, but you might not want to start till 37 weeks or something like that, depending on how you're feeling, how you're ready.
And even just like, do you feel mentally ready? Is your house ready? Like, I know for me, it was a big thing. Like I wanted the house to be in order. You're just cleaned up and organized, or like just different things like that. Or maybe you have
the car seat installed.
Yeah. Or like an event you're supposed to like, oh, someone's getting married a couple weeks before and I really want to be, just so it's a whole thing. So that's what I tell people too. But it's, towards that 37, 38, 39 weeks is when you can maybe start to, and again, I'd have to look exactly at the protocol. And then you just start with like different blends and different durations basically through those last few weeks, all the way up till like in active labor you can steam. And then you're just using different herbal blends and different time and like how often you do it. But it's so nice that the reason why I love it for labor prep is because when you get into those moments where labor gets stalled for different reasons, when you're already in active labor or even in early labor and that feeling of like, then you're just like waiting, right? It gives you something to do and it's soothing and it can help when labor stalls because what does mom need when labor stalls? She needs to feel safe and relaxed as much as possible. And that's what the steam creates because of that warmth, that relaxation that takes place. So it's been really awesome for people to have a tool to utilize. And actually I think it's like in the Czech Republic, there is a peristeam hydrotherapist that has been able to introduce it to the hospitals. So they're using it in hospitals there. It's so amazing to be able to have that. And she was talking about, I watched her speak about it in one of our groups and just like how they have it set up and kind of their protocol in the hospital. And I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. I feel like there's just like so much red tape in the US around medical stuff. When I used to work in the clinic, it's like insane that I can't imagine. But the thing is, even if you ended up birthing in a hospital, you could just get a sauna and bring it yourself. You literally need like a crock pot and a sauna or a steam stool and you're good to go. So there's ways to do it even in a hospital. So that would be labor prep. And then like with those clients, I go over different things they can do. Like we talk about how's their hydration. I give them ideas for like diet and teas, different ways to like move their body and things like that, different natural ways to help facilitate like labor coming on, like just like different handouts of different things is a part of that. And then like the most common way that steaming is used in the world is postpartum. That's like the main thing, all around the world. You see it in all different cultures. And for that, you can start as soon as the uterine artery is closed. And that is like really easy to assess. Like basically it's when you're bleeding less every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that lochia,
Yeah.
that end of birthing.
Yeah.
So some people it could be really soon. A lot of people it could be multiple weeks.
So as soon as that is evident, you can start. So some people it could just be like day 3.
That's wild. Oh my gosh, mine never was that quick.
Yeah, like the sooner the better. And the lochia doesn't have to be gone. It's just less.
Okay.
Just slowing down.
I see.
So, and if the uterine artery is open, you're probably kind of hemorrhaging. Like you're probably, again, and I don't know this for a fact, but
what you're saying,
if the uterine artery is still open, like that would be more of like a concern. Like you probably would still be like bed resting, or you should be, like you shouldn't be like getting up and moving around. Because in fact, if people are having that, like it's anytime there's more like bleeding that shouldn't be happening, bed rest is the first step.
Right.
And then like I have different herbs on hand, like very specific for like uterine bleeding and hemorrhaging that I send with in the packet for these people with the herbal blend to have just in case, because it's rare. But like my teacher said, like we need this. This can save lives because you take these herbs, that bleeding will stop. And I got them from a Chinese medicine doctor locally. And I really trust him too. I had a different kind of mind and he recommended these. So I just keep them and then I just send like however many, not a whole jar, but just so people have them just in case. Not that steaming would ever bring it on, but it's like said, like women need to know these things. Like she has a whole list called First Aid to Stop Bleeding that I share with people because it literally can save lives to stop this hemorrhaging or like this bleeding or just heavy bleeding in between cycles. So anyway, caveat on that. So yeah, once the uterine artery is closed, which is usually a few days to a week, you can start steaming every day. Usually it's 30-minute steam and different herbal blends throughout the course of that process. Postpartum steaming is recommended every day for 30 days. So, and that's what I did. If you have a C-section, you're going to want to wait at least 6 weeks because you can get a lot of achiness along the scar, which I experienced even at 6 weeks. When I started steaming, I had to do like a really low heat and like a shorter steam because I could feel that achiness in my uterus. And you just know it doesn't feel quite right.
So, thinking about that, the sauna that I have, sometimes, I put folded towels on the sides for that. But, what are things that could make it comfortable enough so that somebody could sit, or if somebody's just not comfortable sitting for that long, then you just suggest doing just the shorter steam then so that they just get that relaxation and that time frame. Okay. And then my other thing, and if you want to if you have other tips on like making it more comfortable, but then also I'm curious, what about, if there is placental retention, I feel like steaming would be great at almost helping that just
Yeah.
come out naturally on its own.
Yeah, it is. And there's actually what I would recommend for people that are listening to this, if you're interested or like pregnant or planning on another pregnancy, there's a website, the fourth, now I'm forgetting. I think it's the fourth trimester vaginal steam study.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the fourth trimester vaginal steam study.com. We'll try to maybe link it to, it's linked on my Instagram at Wellness with Katie. But so Kelly Garza, who was my teacher, and a few other women and midwives, they did just kind of, basically as big a study they could because studies are expensive. And they did some case studies on the postpartum steaming, and they put it together beautifully to see these results and all these positive things that happen. Like one of the most notable ones was just like blood pressure regulation, how that was regulated with steaming because, that preeclampsia, even postpartum is like a huge mortality risk for women, especially women of color. So I just think like how amazing something so simple, and even just like the visual appearance and healing of the vagina and the vulva was much, much better. Pain, healing of stitches and tearing. Even though like the waist size, like people, like their body morphed back to their natural shape sooner.
Cool.
And just like the closing, like, after you give birth, the vaginal opening will kind of be gapped open, and that would like went down smaller in size. So you can like walk normal sooner and feel more comfortable. And a lot of it's just like, your body just starts to feel more your own and less pain. And so I can't remember all the stats off the top of my head, but it's
No, that's an
such,
amazing list. I
yeah,
was curious, like let's throw out some benefits. It's like boom, boom,
yes,
boom.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
it's just so well done. And of course, they're always would love to have more funding. I know there's a documentary coming out that I think is going to be really, really great. That Kelly, the steamy chick who I learned through, is going to be kind of helping fund and produce, or just a part of it. And I'm super excited for that to come out. But yeah, as far as like comfort, I use a pillow against the back of it, and then always towels to support it. But that's why, I do feel like the saunas I use, they're not just like made that way for no reason. Like it's very thoughtful. Like the hole size is the right size, so the pelvic floor is supported and the pelvic bones are supported. So because if you're sitting on something that long and the hole is too big or it's too high or too low, and also you're postpartum, like it's going to create hemorrhoids.
Right.
But that's another thing in the study. They found it helped heal hemorrhoids too.
Oh, I'd imagine.
Huge, just that moist heat coming through. And also just like, steam lifts and tightens things. So it helps kind of lift and tighten. And that's where like the helping with like prolapse and all those things can come in too. Plus, my favorite part that I don't think it's talked about enough is the acupressure points along the perineum. One of the great 8 is right there. So they also call it the ghost point. So it's really great for whole body relaxation. And it's also helpful for women to like clear out the ickies, I like to say, of like an ex or even like an assault or things like that. When it hits that point, it clears it out. It's the ghost point. It removes entities and negative energies from the pelvic space. So that's why it's so amazing whenever I have women steam and I just see them like just that whole relaxed feeling. Another reason why it's good for labor prep and postpartum, because it gets moms getting that like relaxed oxytocin flowing. So it helps with breast milk production as well. So because mom's feeling good.
Right. Well,
She's loving it.
And that state of being is, rest, digest, heal.
Yes.
Right. And that's what we need. Heal.
Yes.
Time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love it for that. So it's like the 30 days right away, 30 days in a row. And then from there, it's great to steam usually at least once a month, maybe once a week, depends what you can do. I always tell moms, like, with anything, do the best you can. Like, it's not an all or nothing thing. But you can continue to steam throughout postpartum time, because ideally, if mom's breastfeeding, if she chooses to breastfeed, the period shouldn't come back till about 9 months. So steaming can keep it at bay. Again, different herbal teas, really simple stuff I'll use to help if the cycle does come back. I've had it be really effective to kind of making it go, okay, just stay at bay for a little bit. There's no harm in not bleeding, and there's no harm in, like, for lack of a better word, like trying to make the cycle go away. Because I think of it as like, when you're breastfeeding, how much energy that takes. And then when you're bleeding, how much energy that takes. So if you're doing both, it's like, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And that Chinese teaching of the blood comes up to make the milk in the breast, and then the blood goes down for the period. So to do both, it's like such a tug of war in the system. So that's another reason that it's really great. And then once the period returns, then you just, follow your basic steam plan, whatever you need. But it is like, one more thing about the postpartum time, it's like one of those golden times where, like, the cervix is still a little open, so you can do so much healing and like totally reset your cycle. Like if you have bad periods and stuff, if you can steam postpartum, you can make like miraculous changes a lot quicker than if you were just on like a regular steam cycle. We say like give it like 6 to 9 months of regular steaming to start to see these changes. But that's postpartum time, that golden period, you can just have so much healing because you can get a full cleanse.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's what really made me fall in love with steaming, was like, wow, just the possibility of such a total reset, which then not only would affect like structural womb stuff, but also like it's going to affect your whole energetic and spiritual body when you experience that, which Crystal has experienced steaming, and it's a whole like spiritual experience for most people.
It is. For me, I go into, I journal about it just because I have so many different things that happen during my sessions. I start scrying and seeing things, and like, they all mean things to me, and that's what matters. So, yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, it is such a beautiful thing. And I love being able to like do it in person and like go to their house and like set it up that first time and visit with them and have them share their birth story while they're steaming, because it's just magical and so healing. And to have someone just like listen and be supportive while you're getting that hit on that acupressure point and that relaxed, it's beautiful. And then usually, hopefully mom can go rest. Because that postpartum anxiety too, it can make it hard. I know I would feel that it was hard to like sleep during the day or rest, even if you're tired, because what is it? Your vata's all deranged and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you can kind of draw that energy back down and bring that warmth in, you're going to go have a nice little nap.
Yeah, the warmth is huge because you go from that hot state to that cold state. So anything you're doing to bring the warmth back into the body, even if it's summertime,
Yeah.
it's really important.
So it's just one more piece of the puzzle. And, I think the reason they did this study too is because this group of women that did this 4th trimester vaginal steam study, they were like, how can we support women postpartum like the most efficient and least costly way? Because not everyone can afford to have an amazing postpartum doula like Crystal, like I did.
Right.
But most people can boil water.
Yeah.
And maybe have the herbs. And even if you can't have the herbs, like you can even just use the steam. Like every piece makes it a little bit better. Like to have the proper sauna set up, it just makes it more comfortable. But even if you can't afford that, like if you're listening to this and you're like, I want that, but like I just can't bear one more expense, message me. Like my biggest thing with steaming is to make it accessible for people and workarounds and teaching you like different things I used early on that were less expensive, like making your own chair, having someone make a steam box for you or a stool. Like there's ways to still experience it. Even like I've said before, an upside down plastic milk crate, and put a towel on it. So you're still like, there's so many ways to still experience it, and inexpensive and super duper healing for new moms. So yeah, lots of different ways.
I love it. Yay. Our listeners are so blessed to hear all of this fantastic information. Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks for doing it and sharing it and everything. You're the best.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, everybody out there, share this with your friends, especially if they are planning on getting pregnant or they already are or anything like that, because we want this to, be spread all around for everybody to have access to.
Yeah, it's a beautiful practice. Said I work a lot with virtual clients, but if you're looking for someone local to you, if you're listening to this in other parts of the country or the world, you can go to steamychick.com and search on the directory. Her website's full of information, links to this study, a tons of like testimonial case studies, research studies about the benefits of steaming and how to find a practitioner near you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like more support, hop on the Pleasure Fairy app or find Katie at wellnesswithkatie.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Enlivening Musings if you want to share some takeaways or other requests for future shows. Enjoy.